Welcome back. We are diving into week 7 now. Week 7 is called Recovering a Sense of Connection. I'll read you the little blurb over here for the week. We turn this week to the practice of right attitudes for creativity. The emphasis is on your receptive as well as active skills. The essays, exercises, and tasks aim at excavating areas of genuine creative interest as you connect with your personal dreams. That sounds so interesting. I interpreted that connection initially as meaning connection to others, and I was thinking, wow, this is really like synchronous timing, because today, the day I'm recording this, I'm actually going back on Insight Timer, the meditation app, as a teacher. I used to do live tapping sessions there almost 4 years ago, and finally things have gotten stirred up enough in me that I am going back tonight. I'm going to be there. Hopefully it'll end up being a weekly thing again. We will see. I'm going to take that as a synchronous part of this and say, yeah, that's connection too. That's also a creative outlet for me. And that's all I'm going to say for now, because I need to go and dive into this and read the text and do a week of morning pages and artist date and all that good stuff. And then I'll be back to let you know how it went. To talk to you about week 7, how that all went. I will make a confession. I'm re-recording this probably 2 weeks after I previously recorded it, because, well, to be honest, I go through phases where I'm like, hey, I do have naturally wavy hair. That's why it gets out of control and frizzy sometimes. So let's just, embrace the wave. And the video I previously recorded is not fit for human consumption. So I've gone back to just put it up in a clip default setting, because I haven't mastered the waves, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So let's get into recovering a sense of connection. As I recall, this week is more about connecting with your own creativity. I had thought it might be about connecting with others, which still feels aligned to me, because that was the week that I did my first return to Insight Timer, which was such a fun thing to do. And I've been doing that ever since, and I'm really enjoying it. Anyway, let's dive in and read some quotes. The first section here is about listening. Art is not about thinking something up. It is about the opposite, getting something down. The directions are important here. If we are trying to think something up, we are straining to reach for something that's just beyond our grasp, up there in the stratosphere, where art lives on high. When we get something down, there is no strain. We're not doing, we're getting. Someone or something else is doing the doing. Instead of reaching for inventions, we are engaged in listening. And I think she said something just after that, this about taking dictation. That's the phrase. I'm gonna read that because I love this image. Art is an act of tuning in and dropping down the well. It is as though all the stories, painting, music, performances in the world live just under the surface of our normal consciousness. Like an underground river, they flow through us as a stream of ideas that we can tap down into. As artists, we drop down the well into the stream. We hear what's down there and we act on it, more like taking dictation than anything fancy having to do with art. I've experienced it in the way where I feel like I'm sitting back and I'm kind of my fingers are moving as I'm typing, yes, but I'm experiencing the story for the first time too. I'm like, oh, look at what's happening here. Oh, look at that. Really lovely experience. There's another section here about perfectionism. Let's see, I have a couple quotes here. Instead of creating freely and allowing errors to reveal themselves later as insights, ooh, that's good, we often get mired in getting the details right. We correct our originality into a uniformity that lacks passion and spontaneity. That's really interesting to me. It's like when you're, trying to make something palatable to the point of removing what makes it unique. And I say that as a genre writer. I'm not trying to turn tropes on their heads or things like that. Still, you can have your originality in it. Still, we don't have to iron out everything that makes our work unique to us. Another quote along those same lines: the perfectionist writes, paints, creates with one eye on her audience. Instead of enjoying the process, the perfectionist is constantly grading the results. Oh, and I just was thinking about this. I just recorded a knit and chat video, and I'm not sure if I've posted it yet. If I have, I will link it. But that I was talking about the parallels between something like knitting or another, art craft that you do with your hands, something like writing, where if we focus too much on wanting to have the end product, that the process can feel like a chore, and we don't want that. We want the process to feel enjoyable. One more quote in the perfectionism section: a painting is never finished, it simply stops in interesting places, said Paul Gardner. A book is never finished, but at a certain point you stop writing it and go on to the next thing. I love this as well. I think that's something that I try to do, to not do too many drafts. And that's largely because I know I'm never going to get it perfect. I know there's always going to be something I can improve, but at some point I'm excited about the next project and I want to move on to that. So, okay, this little book baby, you're ready to be launched into the world. It's time to move on to the next one. Now the next section was about risk, and let's read what I highlighted here. Very often a risk is worth taking simply for the Let's try that again. Very often a risk is worth taking simply for the sake of taking it. There is something enlivening about expanding our self-definition, and a risk does exactly that. Selecting a challenge and meeting it creates a sense of self-empowerment that becomes the ground for future successful challenges. Viewed this way, running a marathon increases your chances of writing a full-length play. Writing a full-length play gives you a leg up on a marathon. I think that's so lovely. Yeah, I think anything that takes a lot of time and effort and energy to do, those skills, that persistence translates into other things. Like I think often about building a house because there's always construction going on where we live right now. And it's like that's a project that you have to show up and work on for a long time. And I say that from experience too, because my parents built our house when I was like 4, when the whole process began. So I wasn't still 4 when it ended. So like I know it took a long time. You got to keep working on it. Similar with a book, it's like you're going to have to put it down and go to bed and get up again tomorrow or the next day and start working on it again. So the perseverance to complete the project, similar to training for a marathon, which is not in my wheelhouse at this point in life, but good for you if it is. Yeah, this was a lovely chapter. There was nothing else highlighted there that I want to get into right now. I really enjoyed, so for this particular week, what I'm counting as my artist date, you saw clips from it before I started talking here again, was a little outing day where we went exploring and found like a meadow with flowers in it and looked at a beautiful lake that felt like we were in Scotland. And I know it's against the rules, technically, that artist dates are supposed to be done solo, but my little inner artist, little inner child, didn't have any problem with spending that day with my favorite person. So I'm like, you know what? That's counting. We're counting it. Yeah, she liked that more than if I had done something else. So I'm happy with that. It's all good. I'm finding these weeks are taking longer for me to get through. I'm not churning through the artist way at the same rate that I was in the past. And if that's not okay, then I don't know what is. If it's like, if a journey that is called A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity requires me to like kick myself in the butt and guilt and shame myself for not doing it fast enough. And it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with the way she gently guides you through this book, but there's something in me that's like, come on, you gotta do it better. And I'm like, it's not boot camp, it's a spiritual path. So it's okay if it takes a little longer. If I can't be flexible with myself as the one who sets goals and expectations for myself, if I can't be flexible and gentle and compassionate in those, then like, wow, yeah, why would I ever expect like an employer or something to be? So something I'm working on. Anyway, I will be back again soon, maybe in a week, maybe not, with the next week. So I will see you then.